Welcome, everybody. Hello, what's going on? Thank you for listening to Two in the Cooler. If it's your first time listening, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Two in the Cooler. We post stuff every day on there, and you'll be able to vote in our Who Would Win of the Week polls, which is always a lot of fun because Matthew and I argue about it, and we like to see who you guys side with. And we've got a good one of those this week, too. So, this episode of Two in the Cooler comes to you in affiliation with Instacart. Instacart, the best way to get your groceries in 2020. Look, you're a busy person. You got a lot going on, okay? Why add to that with a trip to the grocery store? Why put that on the to-do list when it's already so full, okay? Why not just use Instacart? They'll have some of your favorite products from some of your favorite local stores delivered right to your door in as little as 1 hour. Boom, 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 boom. No muss, no fuss. The Instacart workers will pick out exactly what you are looking for. You can tell them, give them notes, exactly what you are looking for, and they will bring it right to your door. You can just set it up, go on with your day. You don't even have to think about it. Next thing you know, you got everything you need right to your door as ordered. Okay? Right now, Two in the Cooler listeners get free delivery on their first order of $35 or more. All you have to do is click the link in our show notes and get that deal.
And we are back. Episode 31, Andy. How are we doing?
Feeling good, feeling great, feeling all around. Number one, A+.
Nice. We had a really good clap to start today's episode, too.
Yep.
Really good clap. So just Andy and I again today, no guest. I hope you guys enjoy hearing us talk because you're going to get to hear that today. I've got a bunch of things I want to jump right into. I think we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, let's do it.
But there's something I want to start with first. As you know, it is now the month of November. This means several things, and we will continue to get to them. But most importantly, it is muzzy season. It is Movember. It is mustache season. So on October 31st, shave the stash clean. Shave the whole face clean. Got a little pimple right here. Popped it earlier. It's a little red. So you can see that. Well, if you're looking. So now I have officially started the stash, as you can see. It's very lightly coming in. I mean, it's only been about. I think I actually shaved on November 1st. I think it's been 3 days. But I'm going straight from scratch from the 1st to however many days there is in November. Don't fucking squint like that.
I'm trying to get a good look at it.
No, I mean, it's just. That made it worse. Yeah. But no, it's so I started that. That's one thing I'm very excited for. I do not believe that Hannah's excited for that, as she specifically told me not to go just mustache. However.
So hold on, did she say no facial hair whatsoever, or did she say beard or nothing?
She didn't say no facial hair whatsoever. She just said try not to go just a thick, creepy mustache.
Which is a reasonable thing to say.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know you are.
Because it's Movember, and that's just what you do. And I had a point. I was going somewhere with this, and now I don't remember. But as we continue on, should we start it off light, or should we get right into it? What are you thinking?
Whatever you want,
obviously, there's something. Well, there's a lot that's happened since we last talked. So Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
All right, let's start there.
Yeah.
So Halloween weekend, I did some things Friday, Saturday night. I know you did some stuff the one night. Little, and we get pictures of this stuff out there too, because I want to see. I think there's some good content to be seen. Little background info. Friday night, I went with my roommate as the other guys. So Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. I was Will Ferrell. He was Mark Wahlberg. I think we nailed it pretty well. And then Saturday night, I went as Squints and Wendy Peppercorn with my girlfriend Hannah, and I think we did pretty well with that one too. And I know that you also did a costume with Zoe, correct?
Mm-hmm. We went as Johnny and Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. Yeah. Canadian show Schitt's Creek.
Which was good. I thought it looked
Yeah.
good. I like how you had the eyebrows on.
Well, the eyebrows. So the
And
costume is basically just it's just a suit.
Suit with some glasses.
A suit and some glasses. The eyebrows make the costume. When I was doing it, like when I was getting ready, I was like, Jesus Christ, this looks pretty like lackluster. And then
like
I
it
put
looked
the
like he was
eyebrows
going
on.
to a formal.
I put the eyebrows on, and
Pulled
it
it
kind
all
of all
together.
came together. But I had to be very careful, like the whole night. The eyebrows, I don't know what brand of eyebrows those were, but they stayed on the whole night. So credit to those eyebrow makers.
Well done.
They're really stepping up
Big
their
shout out to
game.
the eyebrow maker.
But I had to be careful not to express very much emotion throughout the night, because then they would start to like fall off if I was like
Yes.
laughing too hard or something.
And did you walk around so it was a party? It looked like, was it Zoe's friends from work, or who was? Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's the thing, because I mean, like virus numbers been peaking in a couple areas. This one is no exception, and but they're all nurses. So I was like, I mean, if they want it, if they're like good to go and do this, then like okay, fine, whatever. I'll take my cues from you.
They know more than you do, Andy. That's for damn sure. I thought it looked pretty well, but this was my question. Did you walk around in character all night, or were you just in costume?
No, I did not walk around in character all night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I could see all. Did you do a little bit of did you do a little bit of in character work, or were you just costume?
Barely. Well, I can't do a good Eugene Levy voice, which I wish I could.
Well, that's
I tried
a little
couple
disappointing.
Times, but I couldn't do it.
didn't
So I
make it
tried to do like kind of like a face that he would make, but that was basically.
Yeah, he does. He does. He's very vibrant with his facial expressions in the few episodes that I've watched. I'm not a huge fan of the show, so I guess the eyebrows were holding you back there. And as previously mentioned on the podcast, when we were talking about Borat 2, one of my friends, Ehab Isaac, did go as Borat on Saturday night, little small Halloween party that we had with there's only probably like 20 people, just people that we've been, closer, not necessarily close friends, but people that have all been intertwined. So we did that, and he was damn funny. So when I got there, he was obviously dressed as Borat, but from what I could tell, he wasn't in character, and that kind of lit a fire under my ass, because if you're gonna dress up like Borat, I feel like you have to be ignorantly acting like Borat. And so I definitely pushed his buttons a little bit to get him to the point that I thought he needed to be, but he did pump out some hilarious content, and I don't think he actually offended anybody, because we obviously all knew he was dressed as Borat, and that was the joke. But I think that he had the potential to, if he really wanted to go out and be Borat, that he could have offended some people, which I guess is really what Borat's all about. It was pretty funny. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm just laughing. I saw a couple of those videos.
Yeah.
And they were really funny. You said that one of your friends was doing it, and I didn't realize that that's who it was going to be. And I was going to be. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I was so happy
he
to see
did
that.
it pretty
It was
well.
awesome.
And so I think Halloween is usually one of my favorite holidays. But I am more of like a Halloween party type person, and you couldn't really get that accomplished at all, just because of the video and what's going on with that. And then, so we fast forward a few days.
Okay.
And we stumble on November 3rd.
Right. Which is yesterday for us.
Yesterday for us. So it's something that we did talk about. And so let's make it clear. As of right now, nobody has still been announced. Nobody's won yet.
Yeah.
Right. Even though, a lot of people have different opinions on what's going on. Nobody has won. So you voted, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As did I. Did you follow a lot of the meet? Did you watch? I mean, I know you watch news all day, so probably not, because you weren't at work. But did you follow any of that? Were you keeping up, or was it just kind of like what happens to you?
No, I was yesterday, because I didn't have to go into work. I just completely put it out of my mind, because I mean, like it's one thing to watch and some type of election coverage and then see what's going on and like numbers coming in from different states or whatever. But there's no way that I was going to be able to watch it without thinking about this stuff kind of behind the scenes and like the cutaways and things and like getting different shots and stuff up. And I just did not want to think about that. It was insanely busy there. I was super lucky that I did not have to work it. I'm very well aware of that. And so I would like towards the end of the day I kind of like checked out like on my phone real quick, whatever, like some of the numbers, but I didn't really watch. I watched like a couple minutes of Joe Rogan's like live kind of thing that they were doing. But that was it, and they didn't really talk about too much the bit that I watched. So I just tried to. I was just like letting it go. That's all I was trying to do.
Which I feel like was probably the best. I mean, one for you, just the sake of being able to get away from work, but one, I know that I got super involved in it right away. Like I was curious to see what was going to happen right as numbers start coming through, and with everything that's going on, it kind of led into like a downward spiral of like constantly like either watching or checking something out of curiosity to what's going on. And there's a lot of things. There's so much to break down if you were to like just. I'm very curious to see what ends up happening. Both candidates seem to think that they're going to win, which although a lot of the polls are pretty close, it just seems like, I don't know, like last night, Donald Trump pretty much declared, like said, like we won, like pretty much declaring victory. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And then we still don't really get any more significant number updates that decide anything, right? Like you can see a trend going one way or the other, but nothing's decided. And then you have Joe Biden, and just about 4:00, he held the press conference, and he didn't declare that they'd won, but he said, like, we feel that we're going to win. And then you've got some people calling states when other people think they're too close to be called. Some people not calling states when you've already got 96% of the vote. Like, there's shit going on everywhere. And then you've got the whole thing that happened in Michigan. And political conspiracy theories are something that I'm very interested in, and I love to like look into them. But I try not to get too caught up in like current ones. Like I like old shit, right? Yeah. Like assassin, just because I think that's interesting, and you see how stuff played out after it. But I really do think that it's just something is fishy going on, and not even like trying to make it more political than it has to be, but from what I've seen and what I've heard and what you see, and I try to avoid like the Twitter and stuff like that, but it seems like you have a lot of these mail-in votes, right? Biden's winning like almost 80% of mail-in votes, whereas Trump is heavily favored in in-person polls. And you almost kind of expect that because that's their demographic, specifically during COVID, right? Is
big time.
Not like almost like a fuck it compared to a don't leave the house. You know what I mean? So you expect that. But I do think looking at Michigan specifically, and I don't know if you've seen this or not yet, Andy, but did you see the whole thing that happened in Michigan?
Nope, didn't see anything. Like I said, I just kind of like hunkered down and I was like, all right, I'll see you.
So when I was going to bed last night, and I think when most people were going to bed, Donald Trump was up in the polls in Michigan. And overnight, it was like 189,000 or so, somewhere in the 180,000 range. 180 something thousand, like mail-in ballots were dropped off at Michigan polling centers, and it was 180,000 consecutive votes for Biden, 0 votes for Trump, in all of those mail-in ballots that were dropped off virtually simultaneously in the middle of the night when Trump was already winning Michigan.
Spooky.
But that just seems a little fishy, right?
That's where did you confirm this?
No. fact, a Twitter fact. I don't know. I don't know all the different sources that have came out and said it. Donald Trump is one of them who has confirmed it, as have many other members of the Republican Party.
Right. Well, they'd never lie to us, so that's a good sign.
Well, no, I'm not saying that they never would, but also the Democratic Party wouldn't go past, forging 180,000 votes.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem is now everything's so fucked up. You got Pennsylvania, who still has, it's one of the states I'm talking about, who still hasn't declared a winner.
Yeah.
And people are all pissed off this way or the other way, whatever. Everybody's pissed off. Everybody wants it to be done. Everybody just wants to know what's going to happen. And I agree. I'm a firm believer in the fact that, and I know I've been talking for a while, Andy, here, so I appreciate you letting me go.
Go for it.
But I'm a firm believer in the fact that no matter who our president is, it doesn't change the way that I feel about the country. Like, I'm a fairly patriotic person. I got my flag, my police flag. I have friends that are police officers and stuff like that. And regardless of who wins, you still want to see somebody that's gonna do good things for the country, right? You don't I would never be the type of person that rewind back to 2016 that were pretty much wishing the demise of our country on the shoulders of Donald Trump. I would never do that, regardless if it was Trump, by whoever was in office. But I just think that there's a lot going on that's just going to take forever to figure out. Right? Both parties have pretty much already said that they're suing the shit out of these different states and polling companies and whatever, and because they think that fishy shit's going on. And the other thing is, you look at the numbers, and Joe Biden actually passed the number of votes that Barack Obama got, the popular vote, in 2008 when Barack Obama won his first presidential election. And that's kind of a big number. And I think the reason, the rational explanation is, well, there's so many people involved that are emotionally connected to this election that way more people voted, which I think is part of it. But I still think, and there was other places, and I don't know. These are more rumor types, but you hear rumors of, and both ways, but specifically towards Democratic voters, that there's places where more votes are being counted and totaled at the end than there are registered voters.
Oh, that's weird.
So how is this stuff happening that there's all this, I don't know if drama is the right word, but confusion, I guess, is the right word. What's going on and why can nobody give us an answer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the longer they take to get out an answer, the more restless and uneasy people are going to become about it.
Mm-hmm.
And also the problem is that even if you say tonight Biden or Trump wins, once those lawsuits start to kick in and these recounts start to kick in, I mean, you're not going to be sure. I don't even know if we're going to be sure on January 20th when they're swearing somebody in. You know what I mean? It's I don't know what's going on, and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody's got answers. I mean, you watch it doesn't matter if you're watching Fox, CNN, anything. They're all try to answer these questions that nobody has the answer to because nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Meanwhile, you got I don't know. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at I'm trying to find out when the 2000 election
I believe it was
decided.
I believe it was several weeks. I was listening to the radio.
Really? I would have thought I thought it was more.
Yeah, no, it might have been. It might have been more. But I know that I heard, because I was listening to 930 on the radio, and it's the political whatever, and they were saying that I don't remember the stat, but they brought up the 2000 election and how long that took to play out.
Yeah.
I just think that, I mean, I obviously have my own whole political views side that I'm not even getting into, but I'm just saying from from a sanity perspective, a lot of people, like, you got to figure your shit out, make sure you get it right, and tell the people what the fuck's going on, right? Like, people want to know who the next president of the United States is going to be. Regardless of who it is, people got to know.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
and I'm curious because I actually don't have my phone on me right now, so this will be the first time, probably all like between, except for when I was sleeping, between like 7 p.m. last night and today, that I will go a more extended period of time without checking. Even I was on the golf course today, just almost, like every other hole, almost just boom, clicking,
yeah.
see if anything else has been decided, if they've given us any more information, because both of them are just going crazy at this point. You got the Democratic Party saying they won Michigan. Trump is still convinced he won Michigan once all this shit gets cleared up with the votes. You got nobody. It's just shit's all over the place. At this point, I'm just rambling because I don't know. It's almost like out of frustration because it's like, what the fuck is going on? How are you? How can you just get away with just virtually not knowing what the fuck is happening?
I don't know. I mean, elections always take a long time. I mean,
no, I know, but like, for example, okay, but I mean, and this one's different because I know you have all the mail-ins and all stuff like that. But you look back to, I remember watching like the election coverage in 2016. Like they're pretty much able to make a decision usually, like if it's not by the time people go to bed at like 10 or 11, then like later into the night.
Like later into the night. Yeah, I don't know,
because I
but
know
that's
that
also not necessarily a typical thing, even though
no, not at all. But I'm not saying that. I shouldn't say that it's not typical. I'm saying that, like, you need to figure out how to not fuck this up as a country, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, without a doubt, which is insanely difficult.
But then why does it have to? Then why does it get so fucked up?
I mean, just because it's taking quite a while, and I just for the record, I looked it up just now. That right now, according to Google, Biden has 264 electoral college votes, and Trump's
at what, 214?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though, and like I'll take, so if I just quickly glance at it, you see, so Michigan. Okay, so I'm just on Google.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is they've given it to Biden, which okay. I mean, there's majority of votes reported, but remember that comes back into, if you look at the number totals, if you really, if they're going to look into those 180,000 mysterious votes that they received, then whatever. So then you also have Arizona, which they've already given to Biden based off what I'm looking at right now. But there's a lot of people saying that it's only 84% reporting. So how can you give that to Arizona already, right? Nevada, not counted. It's very close, not even 0.5%. You have Alaska, which just they haven't reported yet, but that's Trump's going to win that. So that's another 3 electoral college votes. And then you have these 3 states over here, but PA, North Carolina, and Georgia. So Georgia's 97% reported. Trump's up. They haven't called it.
Sure.
But then you go back to Arizona, that's 84%, and it's called. You have North Carolina, who's 94% reported. Again, Trump up. They still haven't called it. You have Pennsylvania, who's 88% reported. Trump up by over 4 points, like 4%. Still haven't called it. So I'll tell you right now, the only way that assuming Michigan stays with Biden, the only way that Donald Trump wins is if he wins Nevada. Right. So and I'm saying that's me saying, based off of statistics, that he's winning, not statistics, but what's currently being shown, that he's winning Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska. So between those 4 states, I think Georgia's 15, North Carolina's 16, Pennsylvania's 20, and Alaska's 3. So I believe those 3 states bring them to 268. So it's 268 to 264, with the only state being left I think it might be 10, if that. But so it's very fucking close,
Yeah,
which
seriously. Wow.
is how I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand a lot of it. Let's see, Nevada. Oh, Nevada's 6.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah. So it's going to come down to Nevada because that puts Joe Biden at a perfect 270, and 270 to win, obviously, as we know, compared to Trump would be at 268 at that point. So it's going to be interesting to see. My biggest thing, and this is also something we talked about last night, is just like the division of people. Like,
yeah.
people pretty much willing to lose family and friends over their own opinion, which
Right.
I don't think that's how anybody in society should operate. You don't have to agree with everybody's opinion, but it's like kind of like back to what I said. Like, doesn't regardless of who wins, you have to a sane person should still be hoping that whoever wins, whoever is the president, is going to do what's best for the country.
Sure. But people on either side think that the other person is not that. They're convinced that the person on the opposite side of them is the devil.
I don't agree with that, though. This election specifically, I don't agree with that. I don't think that there's a lot of people out there who are 100% Joe Biden supporters. I think that the majority of people, maybe not majority, I think a good chunk of the people who are voting for Joe Biden and who are backing Joe Biden currently are doing it because they're anti-Donald Trump. And
yeah,
my
that's
problem with that,
look,
yeah, you can be anti
conventions and stuff. I think, but everybody knows that, though. I think that.
Okay, but this is my problem with it.
That's their whole deal, though. Like, their whole push this year has been, not
anti-Trump.
Vote for Joe Biden. It's just don't vote for Trump.
Okay, but this is my problem with that. Is you can be anti-Trump, you can be anti-Biden, you can be anti-whoever. You're still voting for somebody that has to run and take care of our country. So if you're voting for Joe Biden simply because you don't want Trump to win, why not vote somebody else? Why not find an independent candidate? I know people that voted independent because they don't side with either of them. Mm-hmm. I'd rather see I think the premise of voting for one person simply because you don't want to vote for the other is just the most ass backwards thing ever. Like, you're like, because they're not voting for, at this point, those people aren't voting for Joe Biden because they feel that he would do a better job as president, right? Or maybe I don't know if they do think, maybe they do think that, but I don't think it's just that. I don't think they think he could do a better job. I think they just think that he's not this social media glorified version of Donald Trump who's racist, sexist, homophobic, XY, everything over the sun that people are seeing about him and saying about him. And you see it so many times, you know what I mean? Like eventually more and more people will, I guess, start to believe it, but off of the basis of what? I mean, I don't know. I just think that, if people are like, get out and vote, but they're not saying get out and vote because they want Joe Biden to be our president. They're saying get out and vote because they don't want Donald Trump to be our president. And if that is truly your only goal, then why not at least educate yourself enough to pick a candidate that you think can actually serve our country better? Does that make sense?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that people just feel that they have no choice but to vote for one or two candidates. That could come from a number of things. I think it could come from the way that the system is actually set up. I think it could just come from the perception that they get from these two parties and from the media that if you...
But that's what I mean. It's
listen,
yeah.
Let me just finish. That if you don't vote for one of these two people, then your vote doesn't matter, and you're screwing, whoever between the two you think would do a better job, right?
Yeah, but
there was a big push this year, not so much recently for some reason, but I remember hearing a lot of stuff leading up to the election of people saying to people, don't vote for a third-party candidate or don't write somebody in because that's going to take votes away from, fill in the blank, whoever they want. And
But
the
that's
thing
exactly
about
what I
telling
mean.
people to vote, what makes me mad is that they're not telling you to vote. They're not telling you to exercise your right to vote.
Right.
They're telling you to vote for the person that I like. And that makes me so mad.
But touching on what you were saying, I kind of agree that that's the way people think. But so I don't know how many people voted. I honestly don't even know how many people there are in the country. How many, whatever.
Like
so
300
there's
million?
so there's X amount of voting age people in the country, right? If you how do you not, and you're going to go out and vote, how do you not try to educate yourself, right? So yes, voting for a third party, that third party might not win. But isn't that kind of the point though? Because now you're looking in a district where, okay, usually because if you break down like a state, right? And usually in a per county, you need this percentage of the vote. Even if you know you're not going to win that county, you need this percentage of the vote to make sure that it equals out with the amount of the vote that you are going to win in another county, kind of thing, right? Like it all adds up. So you're only looking, like in counties that you know you're not going to win, you're not even necessarily looking to win those counties. I mean, I guess obviously that would be nice, but you're really looking to narrow the gap, right? Lessen the impact that will have on the other counties that you think you are going to win. So when you're voting for an independent candidate, your vote's not going, it's not useless, right? It's not going unseen. It's not just getting tossed in the garbage. You're taking percentage points away from both of them. You're a lot so I understand, I guess, in a sense, people think like, oh, by me voting independent, it might give Donald Trump a better opportunity to beat Joe Biden, or Joe Biden a better opportunity to beat Donald Trump. So I don't want to vote independent. But Jesus Christ, if all these people hate both these candidates so much, then how the fuck do you not vote independent? If that's really your theory, if you don't like either of them, but you dislike one more, so you're just gonna vote for the one you only kind of don't like, why don't you vote for somebody that you think actually is gonna do something that you want?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a prop. Like, I'm not saying that I was voting independent either, or have somebody, you know what I mean? But what if everybody that voted for Joe Biden because they didn't want Trump to win instead went out and educated themselves and voted for that independent candidate? Do you not think that independent candidate would be surprisingly more in the race than they usually are? I mean, you look around at these states and these independent candidates have 1% of the vote max. But say Joe Biden had 60% of the vote, and 30% of those people are people that would have rather voted for an independent candidate but didn't think their vote mattered. I don't know. This is all working out in my head as we're talking about it. I don't know if it's making any sense. It just all goes back to, I think that this presidential election was decided on the amount that people dislike somebody rather than what is this person going to do for our country.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me.
I get that. Sometimes that's just the way. Sometimes I guess that's just the way democracy goes, but I guess so let me try and put together some thoughts here.
Yeah,
why I feel that people, I'm pretty sure about why people feel they can't vote for an outside party. What that kind of all boils down to. Obviously, the Democrats and Republicans don't want that to happen because those are two machines that are so big that the parts inside them are very easy to control by the rest of the machine. And that's all any of these people want, right, is control. And so they are out there, I mean, not just saying, but a big part of it is spending money to make people think that they can't vote for an independent party. They're spending all this money on advertising that the other parties don't have. That's just how everything has built up over decades and decades. The whole history of this country has been built up.
I agree with that. There's definitely,
just I feel we're bringing it into like this space, but
I
like,
can't. You kind of froze, so I can't. Oh, sorry.
so like to put it in terms that I kind of think of. And I hope I don't lose anybody on this, but like, so with like streaming services are obviously big, right? But you have the networks like NBC and CBS and ABC. These networks have been around for so long, and they were, radio stations before that, whatever. They have so much money built up. That's why they're still on, even though nobody really cares for the programming that they're putting out, right? That's kind of what the Republican and Democratic parties are now. They just have so much money that they can eclipse anybody that comes so close. You can't take them down. And that's a difference. There's no, like, political version of a streaming service, right, where something like Netflix has the opportunity to gain traction. There's no route for a third-party candidate to effectively take that because they have to go through, if not the same channel, or attempt to, if not go through the same channels, go through similar channels. And again, these other two parties are so large that they can see that coming from a mile away and just squash it out. And look, we all know that they're going to, like, they're just going to get and do whatever they want. Like, so many people, there's evidence, there's legitimate evidence that more people in the Democratic Party, citizens that is, who are registered as Democrats, wanted Bernie Sanders to be the candidate. And the Democratic Party squashed that so that they could have Hillary Clinton for whatever reason. They, I guess, thought she would obviously win or whatever. But, they're just so big,
but
and
this is part of my.
They're just going to get whatever they want, and that's the thing. They just it's tough to make people, because everybody thinks that. Not everybody. A lot of people think that they're smarter than other people, right? So they think, okay, maybe I would vote for this third-party candidate, but nobody else is smart enough to see what I see. So there's no way that we could all group together and actually make some sort of change this way. And that's what the government wants you to think.
But this is kind of my problem with that, though. So you look at all these people that are, and again, this is my opinion. This is not factual. I don't know this. I believe, like I said, I believe a lot of these people that are voting for Joe Biden are voting for Joe Biden based on the fact that they don't like Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with how much I like Joe Biden. A lot of these people also, again, in my opinion, are people who are the ones that are asking for change, right? That's what they want to do by getting Donald Trump out of the office, is change culture, change this, change that. So if you're that, invested in creating this change, why would you not view what you just said as an issue as well and try to change that by bringing all these people that are voting for Joe Biden who also want change together and trying to, get them to understand, hey, like, we don't have to vote for either of these people, right? You can vote for other people. Like, if change is truly your basis, and this is like
how are you
the big problem that I have with it,
without it being like I said, completely blocked
the same way that you were able to convince X amount of American people through social media, through any type of media bias, that Donald Trump is racist, sexist, homophobic, all this stuff that people pump down other people's throats. You look at
but who's doing that pumping though? But who's doing that pumping though? The Democrats,
people on
right?
social media. Well, not all. Well, partially, yes, but that's what I'm saying.
From that larger machine. So,
yeah, but okay, but that's what I'm. Okay, so that just again, like, that strengthens my point that either you really are about change, right? And if you were, then you wouldn't be following what either party said, or you're just voting for Joe Biden strictly because you have this vendetta against Trump that's been created through social media. Twitter has been censoring Donald Trump's tweets the day after an election. Our current president, Twitter thinks, like, Facebook, all these companies think that they know what's best for their censoring our president. Like, and why? Because they've been able to get the majority of their demographic, right? These young 18 to 22 to 25-year-old voters to buy into the theory that everything that they see on social media should be correct. And I don't know. I just think that, like, you have to find a way to take all the fucking bias about it and vote for somebody who's you think is truly going to improve the country, not somebody that you're voting for just because you dislike the other candidate. That's what pisses me off. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, vote for something that you believe in, not voting for somebody because you don't like them. And I know what you're saying. Like, it is widely believed that when you vote for a third party candidate, it's considered almost irrelevant, right? Like that person has no chance of winning, which in a sense, like you said, is true, because there's these two machines, as you've been calling them, are so big and powerful and have so much money and stuff like that. But at some point, like, you'd think that you have to, like, I don't know if this is the right term. I'm going to explain it after I say it. Like, walk the walk and talk the talk. Like, if you're advocating for the way you think shit needs to be changed, you think we need to revamp this, but rather than go out and try to really truly change shit, you're just going to vote for somebody that you're okay with simply because you dislike the other candidate, rather than voting for somebody who actually believes in what you believe. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's an interesting phrase to use here. I think it's a good one. I think it's one that we could really kind of dive deep in, is, talk the talk and walk the walk. Because especially with coronavirus, I mean, it's so easy to talk, and it's very difficult to walk in the time that we're living in. It's so easy to talk. That's what we're doing. We're talking right now. It's really hard for people to walk, and sometimes there's so much talking that people can forget how to walk because they confuse talking with walking.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I think that's a big, like, everybody wants change, and I think this might piss some people off, and then we'll work past politics. So we've got some other fun and exciting stuff to talk about. But I look specifically at, like, and I say this all the time to everybody. I say it to you know what I mean? Like, if you are, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. I look at it from specifically, like, the Black Lives Matter movement. So all these people behind this Black Lives Matter movement, they want change, correct? The majority of the money that's donated to the Black Lives Matter movement goes to the Democratic Party. A lot of those GoFundMe type things that were set up, those fundraising type things where you could donate money, if you really look into where that money is going, it's not going to, you know what I mean? Like, whatever you think, like, whatever your opinion of what needs to be held, it's going to the Democratic Party, specifically probably this election, right? That's probably, like, so that's one thing. And then you look at it from the perspective of, okay, well, the Democratic Party says they're going to change stuff and stuff like that. I'm a firm believer, and I think that you can just look at this based off of any successful person in the world, that you don't help people by giving them free shit. You don't give people a one-time handout and their life is figured out. You have to create opportunity for these people. And I'm not just saying in the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm saying you have to create an opportunity. Like, if somebody's here, right? And I'm showing my hands to Andy, but if somebody's here and you want them to be up here, and you give them this handout that brings them here, even if you continue to give them that handout, guess what? They're only ever going to stay here, right? They're going to continue to be here. So they were here and now they're here, but their goal is to be up here, right? Their goal is to continue to grow. But you're just giving them this one-time handout that's keeping them maybe a little bit float above where they were. If you create opportunity, like, and it could be it could be anything. I don't just mean jobs, but I'm going to say jobs in this sense, right? Like if you give like less fortunate people the opportunity to work and they decide to work hard at it, they will grow. It doesn't matter race, sex, whatever, sexual orientation. If you're good at something, if you work hard at something, like you will eventually find the opportunity to grow. But these people assume that the opportunity, they don't have the opportunity to grow because of who they are. So rather than that, they just stop trying and have these handouts. And that, I think, is like all the whole basis of the Democratic Party is they have these people in the palm of their hand and they're saying, yes, we will help you. We will make change. We will do all this. But at the end of the day, they're not giving them opportunity. They're giving them the handout. They're allowing them to get right here. So for a little bit of time, they're like, oh my gosh, we're better off than we are. But they're never going to be able to get to here. If you keep giving people shit for free, they're never going to get to here, right? Do you agree? I mean, you can disagree. That's a straight opinion. You can disagree with that, but I believe that.
I think it all just depends on the person. I think if you, if you give somebody something, a handout, as you said, it depends on who they are. If there's the type of person that will find a way to turn that into an opportunity. That's something. Not everybody's like that. Okay, but so I think it all just depends on the person. I definitely think that no matter who you are and what side of the political spectrum you're on, I do think whatever side you are affiliating yourself with, the people at the top of that definitely don't want to see you rise, no matter what.
No. Exactly, and that is like, I don't know. That's just like my problem. Like my problem with it's really with like again, it goes back to the people who are voting for Joe Biden strictly because they don't like Donald Trump. When you vote for somebody, I have no problem if you no, I'm saying, but I'm just like coming out and saying because honestly, I'm not saying that I know everything either. I'm not saying that everything I say is right. A lot of this is my opinion, and if you voted for Joe Biden because it could be one reason, it could be a million reasons, like a specific, whether it's a political agenda or something, you know what I mean? If you have a true reason for thinking that he will run our country better than Donald Trump or anybody else in any situation, right? I would have no problem. I have no problem with anybody voting either. It'd be the same. It's the same thing for Donald Trump. If people get mad at people, the people dislike people who vote for Donald Trump. But if you're just getting mad at him because you think he's XYZ, not because, and this person's voting for him because he thinks that he has legitimate good ideas that will improve our country or whatever, has the ability to make our country as good as it can be, how can you be mad at somebody for that? I would, regardless of what political side you fall on, I have no problem having conversations with people, you know what I mean? Like, and you're similar to that too. There's a lot of people that aren't like that, and that's why they just vote for one thing out of dislike for the other. And that is just, I've probably said that 100 times this episode. I only wanted to talk about this for a little bit. We're like almost 50 minutes in, and it's almost all talked about. So,
well, I think that again, it goes both ways, and I think that look, like I said, I don't, we're letting ourselves be divided by these. Because, listen to me, and I don't know if you'll disagree with this, but if you honestly think that anybody who is if you honestly think that Nancy Pelosi or fucking Mitch McConnell, if you think either of them actually give a shit about abortion, I understand why you would think that, but they don't. They don't care about any of the issues that are important to you. They only care about keeping their money and keeping their power. And I think that most people sort of understand that on a certain level, but either put it out of their mind because it's easier to do that, or because they don't feel like there's anything they can do about it, or because it's easy when you look at something and it's just black and white instead of seeing, a multitude of colors. It's really easy when you just have kind of two things to look at. I just think it goes. I think it just goes both ways. Like, you know, why do people vote for Trump? Well, because he said, "I'm going to help you." Why do people vote for Hillary Clinton? Because she said, "I'm going to help you." Okay, and I don't think that either of them have any intention of keeping anything they say. And again, I think that most people do, on some level, understand that, but I just don't think it's. I don't know. No, I don't know if I agree with what I was just thinking, but I don't know. The important thing is that nobody cares about you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Everybody, politicians, I mean, they would all, and again, man, it just sounds weird to say, because I feel, I'm not trying to express this through anger. I'm just trying to express this through what I see as reality. And the reality of it is that the reality we see isn't reality. Okay, the reality that they're spoon feeding us is wrong. And I just feel like I sound a little like a nut or whatever.
Abed?
Like Abed, did you say?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, and there's something to that, but yeah, there's something to all of it. You know, I guess maybe some things need to change, but I just don't know if it's worth us, the people who are all right here, going crazy at each other all the time, because that's all the people at the top want to do. And again, I feel like a nut for expressing these thoughts, but that's all the people at the top want to do is they want to make you confused, okay? And they want you to be mad at each other.
I don't necessarily agree with.
I think that
I don't necessarily agree with
true.
all the people at the top want to do that. I do think that there's
okay. Well, I won't make you go into specifics,
agendas.
I guess, but
I just think that there's certain people with political agendas that want you to act like that, but I don't think that's everybody's.
But political agendas, I guess that's one word for it. But it's all about personal agendas. That's all it is. Personal agenda is a political agenda to these people. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it doesn't, like, if you want something to happen, if you want like a change in this country, I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something to be, this is sort of a defeatist thing, I think, but maybe there's something that, like, it doesn't matter if they actually care about what you care about, as long as they make it happen, I guess, does their intent really matter? If they're just passing a certain law or, voting something down just because they want to keep their spot in whatever position they hold. I don't know. It's just pretty fucked up, I guess.
Yeah, everything is. I mean, we can move past it now that I feel like we've got it, got pretty far into it. I didn't mean.
You got it. No, that's all right. You got a lot out of your system there, Matthew. But it was interesting to hear. Yeah, and I just, man.
I mean, I wouldn't say I got a lot out of my system. I could have recorded a 3-hour podcast by myself.
That's
that would
true.
have made a lot of people.
Hey, not a bad idea. See what you get.
No, yeah, I don't know about that. I'd probably sound like a crazy person.
Yeah. Well, look. I don't know. Sometimes lying in your hat with a little bit of tinfoil is all right, in my opinion. And I'm talking about more what I was saying at the end there, not exactly.
No, but
not necessarily.
I mean, it is and it isn't true. I mean, you could look at it. there's just I mean, you could look at There's just at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we'll know when we know. And as we move on, should we maybe jump right into the Who Would Win of the Week now that we're here, or should we maybe hold off on that until we switch it to a little bit lighter of a subject? I personally think our Who Would Win of the Week is just about as interesting of a debate as the presidential candidate.
I agree. Now that, I agree as well. I'm just still coming down a little from all that. Man.
It's a lot to think about.
I just hate that they trick people like that. It makes me so mad. Because people are smart. And maybe that's the reason why people are getting so angry now, is because they're trying to make sense of what they're seeing. And if what they're seeing is a lie, then that's so hard to contemplate.
I think that, you know what though, Andy? I think that is a lot of, I would bet you that a lot of people feel the exact way that you described, but I would bet you it's an older age demographic than we are. Because I think that our age demographic is right in the midst of the lies, right? Like, they are willing to believe almost anything as long as you give it over 50 retweets. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
honestly.
I don't,
and I'm saying that's
both
sides.
Both sides for sure, but
because this is my problem is I see a lot, and it comes. I know we said we're getting off this, but I see a lot of people who, for lack of better terms, think that they're like staying woke, right? Like that they know all, and you guys aren't. You guys just aren't looking at it from like the big picture, whatever. That I think are more ass backwards than anybody.
I think that there's wokeness is a whole different conversation.
Yeah, can you stay woke or can you not stay woke? That's what it's all about. Stay woke, Andy. What the fuck is that movie with Kevin Hart? Is it called Night School?
Yeah, where he goes to night school? Yeah, that's Night School.
And the one guy's always like, stay woke. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy from 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's in The Love Guru, isn't he?
I can't picture the guy's face, but
he's the guy.
He is Darren Roanoke from The Love Guru, right?
Sure, a character that everybody knows from a movie that everybody saw.
Such a bone to pick. I have such a bone to pick with your take on The Love Guru. So for those of you who have never seen The Love Guru, I don't know if we've ever gotten into this on the podcast.
We did once a while back.
I love The Love Guru. Not only is it hysterical, but it's also it's kind of loosely about hockey, I guess, even though it doesn't portray it very accurately. I love that movie. My friends all love the movie. It is so funny. However, Andrew has a vendetta against it because, one, he doesn't think it's funny, and two, he is convinced that if you look at it statistically, it ruined Michael Myers' career, which it's hard to fight those statistics, but that's because people are too close-minded about how funny that movie is. Stink up. That movie is good.
No, it's not. It's not a very good movie. I don't think.
Why? What's not good about it? Now that we're here, what is not good about that movie?
Look, you know what? If you think it's funny, that's all objective. I can't argue with that. Or subjective.
No,
whatever.
but I would like to hear what you have, like your reasoning for not liking it. Besides, it's not funny. What makes it not funny?
Makes it not funny? I mean,
or like, why don't you like it?
Something about that movie feels like it doesn't have any flow to me. Yep, it definitely feels to me like the whole story and everything is just kind of a background for different cuts for Mike Myers' head to be on that kid's body or whatever, which that's funny. That scene where he's piss mop or whatever.
Or the scene where he's like, yeah, piss mop is funny. He's not super young in piss mop though. The scene when he's super young is when he's like he asks him why he's there, and he's like, because his parents are dead. And he's like, oh, what did they do before they died? And he was like, they owned a dog styling or they owned a dog salon, and then they became missionaries or something like that. And the old guy's like, oh, so your parents were into missionary before doggy style. And then he pours tea out of his nose, and Mike Myers is like, nice joke about my dead parents. That's funny. You just laughed.
The tag on that is funny. But that's always
It's funny. And what, making fun of people's dead parents?
That's always fun. Look, man, whenever somebody makes a joke about Batman being all sad about his parents dying, that makes me laugh. Like, those are usually pretty funny.
Or like, do you remember when
because
do you remember when it was like a big meme, the picture of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man right after Uncle Ben dies?
Oh, when he's got that like crying face. Yeah, that's a bad crying face.
Yeah. Yeah, that always gets me a kick. But no. That's a good movie. All right, we got off track again. Let's get into the movie of the week.
All right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I went to the movie theater for the first time since.
Oh, you did?
Since
Yeah, well, since
probably
quarantine.
Probably like December, maybe.
Okay.
Well. Yeah, I went to the movie theater for the first time. Some of them are opening. There's one around here that's open, and
yeah, I believe we have two. We have the AMC on Maple is open, I know, and the Galleria Regal is open.
Right. The one that's open here is like attached to a mall. It's actually not inside the mall like I thought it was, but it's like a part of the mall or whatever. So I think that's got something to do with it. But anyway, so the movie Tenet is out. Huge movie. People were traveling across state lines to go see it and stuff. Massive Christopher Nolan movie. Everybody's like, this is going to be great. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be some of his best work. Robert Pattinson is going to be in it. What is that guy's name? Like John Washington or something? That guy's, he's an awesome actor. He was in Ballers. He's the man. And Robert Pattinson's also the man. But they're going to be in it. So
Ballers? Ballers is the HBO show with The Rock.
With The Rock, yeah.
I always get it confused. I only watched like the first
I only watched the first two seasons, I think. Maybe
I think I watched the first two
seasons.
And
they were really good. And then I
confused.
Heard that and I just stopped watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is going to be like
a
movie. And
so you saw it.
So
Let's get to that point.
So I went to go see New Mutants. I did not go to see Tenet. I went to go see New Mutants, which is one of the most poorly reviewed movies that has come out during the quarantine, except maybe Mulan. And I was just excited to be back in the theater. I want to see Tenet, and I obviously do a movie podcast, and I'm putting my reputation on the line. To be honest, to speak my truth with the people, that I went to go see New Mutants when I know I could have gone to see Tenet. They were playing 15 minutes, within 15 minutes of each other. But I want to go see New Mutants because a couple reasons. But so I was just excited to be back in the movie theater. Like, I walked in and the manager's, I got my mask on. The manager's like standing right there. And he's like, "Hey, thanks for coming." And all this stuff, and he's like, you get your tickets and shit over there, and I was like, great. And they did it. You could like pick your seat like beforehand, and so there was only one other seat taken in the theater, so I was like, okay, it'll be me and one other person. And I love going to movies alone. I know that might be a hot take for some folks, but I love going to see a movie alone.
It's funny because the only other person I know that really does that is our father. So it's funny that you.
That is interesting.
See, I like to watch movies alone. Obviously, I think anybody does, but I don't. I've never gone to a theater by myself.
Man, going to the movies alone is so great. Like when you go, like, I wouldn't go to like a packed show alone or whatever. Like, I would kind of be, because the, like, you know, like the midnight premiere of like a new Star Wars or something like that. You don't want to go to that alone because that's such a group activity, right? Like, that's why you go see those movies, is for that experience. But if you go to see a movie, a matinee, you know, in the afternoon, when like nobody else is there, that's why it's so great, because you just kind of have like your own, you know, it's just very comfortable to have like it kind of be like your own space and go see movies, and just kind of like take your time with things, and like I was like 5 minutes late to New Mutants, and I was like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, maybe if I was with somebody, they'd be like, oh man, I'm upset that we're late, whatever. Like, look, I get that, but like, you know, you go on your own time, you got your snacks or whatever. Yeah, there's just something about it. But I think that right now it's really easy to sneak into movies if you buy like, because like I said, there was one seat taken, and then I picked my seat, and there were two people sitting like in the seat that I picked. So I didn't want to go near them because of COVID, and also I was like, look, I don't really give a fuck. Like, if you snuck in here, like, good on you. And nobody, like, there were no ushers coming in or whatever. So I guess this is a shout out. I mean, pay for your tickets because these theaters need it. But if you really are strapped for cash and you want to do a double feature, New Mutants and Tenet, there's no wrong order to see them in. Then you you know, then I guess go for it, because it seems like it's never been easier. But man, it was just great going into the theater.
Yeah,
it felt good.
I feel bad for movie theaters. I think that they're still going to continue to have a bad rap even as they open up, because people assume that they're not going to be comfortable in them. But I mean, I don't know. I would have no problem with doing it if I was going to the movies with a group of people. Again, I do want to see Tenet, but I'm the type of guy who I'll just wait till I can.
That one I want to go see. I feel like you have to see this one in the theaters.
A lot of people have said that, and that's a big reason why they didn't release it like on Amazon or whatever when they did those $20 premiere releases and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I feel that, but like I think there's something to be had about like sitting with the closeness, like in my living room, like all the lights off, TV loud. I'm completely comfortable. I've got anything I can eat or do, you know what I mean? I can do, and I can still watch it on a 95 volume, so it feels like I'm getting blasted in the face by some IMAX action. I don't know. I enjoy going to the theater too. I have no problem with it. I
think part of it is
just
because
lazy, I guess.
I think part of it is because probably because of cell phones. Like, even if you say, you know, like even when you have your phone in your pocket in the movie theater, there's just some sort of, I don't know, social weight that's on us that makes us comfortable with not pulling it out when we're, because it's like you're doing an activity even though you're still just sitting there like you would at your house. But because when you're watching in your house, it's not an activity. You can always look, if you.
It's funny that you
have
say
to make
that.
a conscious decision in that situation to, you know, put your phone in the other room if you want to, right?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I think that, see, I'm a big believer. Like, if I'm watching a movie for the first time and I'm excited for it, my phone's not even an object to me, right? Like, I'm dialed into that movie. But I know a lot of people, almost everybody I know, if I'm like, yo, let's sit down and watch this movie, it's about to be good as fuck, like, let's get into it, who will still check their phone. And I'll sit there and I get pissed. And like, one person that gets pissed back at me is like Hannah. Like, I'll look at her, and next thing you know, she'll be like scrolling Instagram, and I'll pause the movie and I'll be like, dude, like, I'm not, in 5 minutes when you ask me what's going on, I'm not going to want to pause it again and explain the whole damn scene you just missed. Because what? You had to check your Instagram posts? I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place to have something on TV where you can simultaneously be on your phone. Mm-hmm. But if you're watching something for the first time and you like are invested in it, but then you have to ask a question because you're on your phone and you missed a part, put the goddamn thing down.
That's like a friend of the podcast, Jake Lumadou. I showed him Pulp Fiction for the first time. Huge. Oh my God.
Like, I mean, during movies, like, See, like Pulp Fiction's a movie where
all the
like
time.
you could sit there and watch that movie eyes duct taped open and you would still have no fucking clue what's going on.
I get okay.
I couldn't
Fair
imagine.
enough. Here's the thing. Well, so you want to pay attention to it, right? So I showed him
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction for the first time. Look, I get it. It's on me. I put a lot of. It's obviously a great movie, and when you see it for the first time, whoever you are, it makes a huge impact on you.
Yeah, because
And-
it's a movie that you're sitting there thinking about, right?
Right.
Like,
So we watched it, and I showed it, and I was like, okay, tonight we're gonna watch Pulp Fiction. You know, basically, like I'm gonna make you watch this. He's on his phone a lot. So at the end of Pulp Fiction, if you know nothing about it going into it, let me ask you this: what is the number one question you have at the end of that movie?
what's in the briefcase?
What's in the briefcase? So
It's the question that everybody has.
the credits start rolling, and I go, so what did you think? And he goes, oh, it's pretty good. And I'm like, so, what do you? How about that?
Waiting
How
for him to
about
be
that?
like, what's in
Sure.
the briefcase? Yeah.
So I'm like,
how about that leather thing that they
I'm like,
carry around?
how about that briefcase? And he goes, oh, I didn't really think about that. And I was like, okay, well, we don't have to watch anything ever again. That's all right. That's all right with me. That made me so mad, though, man.
All right. Well, now it's finally time. I think we've
Yeah, we
tried to
better
start it
jump
3
in.
times here. Let's jump into it, just because, as usual, we've been going for just over an hour here. So we'll get to who we win of the week, and I'm excited for this one. I'll tee it up if you don't mind, because it was started as Andy's idea. I made a minor tweak to it. This week's who we win of the week is the Doritos Locos Taco. Here's my question for you right away: Supreme or no? Because Supreme has lettuce, tomato, and sour cream on it as well, doesn't it? Or maybe no sour cream, but it definitely has the lettuce, tomato. Whereas the Doritos Locos Taco alone
has
is just
cheese.
beef and cheese in the
Yeah.
Dorito shell.
It has to be Supreme because, I mean, going up
Okay,
against
sorry.
this opponent, I mean, if you want it to be fair, it has to be Supreme.
Yes. Okay, so then the opponent is the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken Famous Bowl. So as I just broke down the Doritos Locos Taco, as it's the Dorito shell, the beef, the cheese, the lettuce, tomato. The Famous Bowl from KFC is a bowl with mashed potatoes, popcorn chicken, corn, shredded cheese, and gravy. And it's all in a bowl together, and you eat it together.
Sure. Like a monster.
You go ahead, Andy. You start us off.
Okay. So, man, what to say? Okay. We all know what the Doritos Locos Taco is. Okay, nobody has any misguided opinions about this. We are aware that this is a chip that they made into a taco for promotions. We know that the meat is not real. We know that the cheese probably isn't real. If there's a way to make fake lettuce, then they probably throw that in there too. We know that this is an item so processed. However, the KFC Famous Bowl, that to me, it feels like the bowl is not even trying. Okay, at least they kind of, with the Doritos Locos Taco, at least they look in your eyes when they spit in your mouth. But the Famous Bowl is just like, at least they kind of dress up the Doritos Locos Taco a little bit, all right? They give it the impression that this is a food that's acceptable to eat. The Famous Bowl, I'm just going to say it, the KFC Famous Bowl is like a trough for overweight Midwesterners. And I think that it's like a gelatinous cube. This is a thing. This is a D&D thing, but it's like a gelatinous cube. It's not very smart. And I'm not gonna. And I will say, I think that the Doritos Locos Taco, there is a sharpness to it there's a whether that's intellect or not is probably unlikely, but I think that the Doritos Locos Taco, at the very least, is certainly more athletic than the Famous Bowl. There's nothing athletic about the Famous Bowl. Doritos Taco is certainly a little more athletic than the Famous Bowl. So that's a point right there. And it just seems a little smarter. I'm not going to say it's a genius, but it does seem like the Doritos Locos Taco could, at least whether it's good or not, put some semblance of a plan together. Whereas the Famous Bowl, I mean, that thing is just, just boom, just running in and not thinking twice about anything.
I have actually never disagreed with something more in my life. And let me start from the beginning as you were allowed to start from. First of all, you've never even had a Famous Bowl.
That's true.
I've had both items. Both items taste delicious. The Famous Bowl is above and beyond more delicious. It is way better than a Doritos Loco Taco from an eating standpoint. And I love tacos, but I'm just telling you right now. If I go to Taco Bell, yes, please do. If I go to Taco Bell, I don't order a Doritos Locos Taco. If I go to KFC, the only thing I order is a KFC Famous Bowl. You say that the KFC Famous Bowl isn't athletic. Let's break it down. You have protein in your chicken. You have carbs in your mashed potatoes. You have vegetables in your corn. So if you're trying to tell me right now that you think, from that perspective, that the Doritos Locos Taco is more athletic than a Famous Bowl, incorrect. And I'm not done. 1v1. They're in the ring. So just to clarify, Famous Bowl, way more enjoyable to eat. If you've never had one, go get one before you vote on this poll when it goes to the internet. Because I will tell you right now, there's no chance that if you sat down and ate a Doritos Locos Taco and you ate a Famous Bowl, that you could tell me that the Doritos Locos Taco is better. But now back to the fighting perspective of it. I'm assuming that this is going to sound very abstract, but if you're a Famous Bowl fighting a taco, you have, I would say, the chicken are like your soldiers, right? The chicken are going to attack that taco. You're going to smother that motherfucker in gravy. You're going to bury it in mashed potatoes. And then you're going to dance on its grave. And then everybody's coming to the party. The corn's coming. The cheese is coming. The Doritos Locos Taco, and we've talked about this before, I believe it was with the Choco Taco. So similar. The only defense that the Doritos Loco Taco has is to use its shell as a weapon. Like, get a sharp point of the shell and use it as a weapon. But at that point, it's internally, it's broken, right? It's almost bleeding out at that point. You're losing your taco ingredients all over. And that's the worst. You never want to break a hard shell taco. And even if he has that knife, even if he has a knife-like object that he built from his own taco shell can't cut chicken. And even if he gets a good stabbing on one, you smother that bitch with gravy, make that shit soggy. He's got no more weapon. You use the mashed potatoes as a wall, a defense against the stab, because the stab's not hurting mashed potatoes, right? They just, and you compare it to like a bowl of gelatin or something like that. Fuck out of here! You've never even had a Famous Bowl.
A gelatinous cube.
And I know you, and I know that you would love the fucking Famous Bowl. I know you. If you ate one, you would eat that shit every fucking day. Because I know you like corn in your mashed potatoes, and I know you love KFC popcorn chicken because it's all you used to eat. You love Popeyes. I'm telling you, Andy, Is there a KFC around you? Honestly.
Yeah.
When we get off this podcast tonight, go pick up a KFC Famous Bowl. They're $5 for the Famous Bowl combo. You get a drink and a cookie and a Famous Bowl for $5. I get 2 of them.
Cookies from fast food places.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to eat the cookie. It's about the Famous Bowl.
Happy. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. I don't want to do that. So, excuse me. Okay, so I agree with one thing that you said, and that is that much like a gelatinous cube or the blob, it would be difficult to puncture the Famous Bowl, right? So that can't necessarily be your play. About the athleticism and your points on that, saying you use the chicken as soldiers and then you smother it all in gravy. Okay, what are we talking about here? It's not a.
But you compare the Famous Bowl to a fat person.
We're not talking about.
You could compare a fucking taco from a fast food restaurant to a fat person too.
Oh, if I did compare it to a fat person, that's not what I meant to do.
That's what you did.
Well, so.
Suck it.
Oh my God. I may have said it was for fat people. That's what I said. I didn't say it was a fat person itself. So we're not talking about these ingredients as they are individually. We're talking about the whole, the parts, or excuse me, the whole, not the parts.
But you broke the taco down like the taco was for like skinny people and like people.
But I did that. But what no. And what I didn't do, what I certainly didn't do.
You said it was more athletic. You said a taco was more athletic than a Famous Bowl.
It is. I'm looking at a Famous Bowl right now. A Famous Bowl reminds me of like those gross dips that are like 5 layers, and one of the layers is like just mayonnaise. That's what a Famous Bowl. I'm looking at a bunch of pictures of them right now, and it's making me nauseous. It does not look good. And sure, corn is good, mashed potatoes are good, cheese is good, chicken is good. It doesn't mean they're all good together. But that's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about if these two were going to fight. Now,
you're telling me this looks gross? Did you just Google KFC Famous Bowl and go to images?
Yeah.
Because I'm on it right now and my goddamn mouth is watering.
That's insane. I can't believe that you are finding
Andy,
these
photos
appetizing.
I have seen you eat corn and potatoes with gravy on it with chicken. You put all that together, make it popcorn chicken, and chuck some cheese on there? Andy, let me tell you right now.
That just doesn't sound good. I want to talk more about
the problem is they've never had a Famous Bowl. All right, talk about the fighting. Talk about the Famous Bowl is going to kick the taco's ass.
No, that's not true in the slightest.
Why?
I'll tell you why right now. Jesus Christ. First of all, your argument about the taco shell applies, if it's not completely irrelevant, then it certainly applies so much less than the Choco Taco conversation because of what the shell is containing. Choco Taco, that's containing ice cream, right? That's going to leak out. The Taco Bell meat is so adhesive and stuck together that the Doritos Locos Taco would be able to take multiple punctures to the shell. It could certainly, if it wanted to, use pieces of its shell as a weapon without breaking the integrity of the taco as a whole. Now, like I said, and I admit it's going to be different. If that's your move, if you're trying to stab a Famous Bowl, that's not going to make any sense.
No, there's no play. So what is the offense? What offense does a taco play? Sorry, I was yawning. What offense does a taco play then if it can't stab?
I think so. So the taco, again, it's thinner, it's quicker than the bowl, than the whatever it's called, the Famous Bowl. It's quicker than the Famous Bowl. The Famous Bowl is kind of like, you know what I mean? So I think the move for the taco is to get the famous bowl off balance. And I think that with the taco shape and everything, I think the taco could easily tip the famous bowl onto its side over. Because as soon as you do that, you got a turtle on its shell.
I'll tell you right now, there's no chance that the taco could lift the famous bowl. If I went out to the store and theoretically bought a famous bowl and a Doritos Locos taco, and I tried to lift with my own hand the bowl with the shell would break. A famous bowl is dense. It's heavy, Andy. There's a lot of food in that bitch. I'll tell you right now.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's going to deadlift it. I'm not saying it's going to deadlift it.
But you're not going to be able to tip him.
I'm not saying that it's going to deadlift it. What I'm saying is that it gets the bowl off balance and then it's able to use leverage to tip it over. I think it could do that easily, especially with the speed difference between these two foods. You've seen how quickly a Doritos Locos taco can come out of you. Imagine how quick it's going to be in the ring.
One, I think that you thought way too much about that line. You've been saving that one.
That just came to me as I said it, but that's going in the clip. That's going in the clip for Friday.
I don't
for
believe
sure.
that whatsoever. One and two, Andy, I'll send you a Venmo right now. Order fucking Uber Eats KFC on your phone right now, Famous Bowl, and when it gets there, if you can honestly eat it in completion. And call me after and say, Matthew, I don't think this famous bowl is as good as a Doritos Locos taco. I'll Venmo you like the whatever it costs. But you're going to enjoy. You're going to be like, oh my god, this opened a whole new fast food realm. I know you're a Popeyes guy sometimes. I was never a Popeyes or
guy
KFC
all the way. Popeyes, yeah.
I'm telling you, if you try a famous bowl, it will change your life, and it will change your opinion on this stance. But
it looks so gross. But again,
it's so good.
We're not talking about.
Gross.
It looks so gross.
I know, but
again,
I think that if
that's not what we're talking about.
I know we're not talking about how it tastes, but I'm saying if you ate it and realized how delicious it was,
more familiar with
yes, you would agree with me that this. So I'm just going to come out and say
that impossible to believe.
I'm going to lock in my answer here. I'm locking in the famous bowl. Andy,
boy. I have to not look at that tab anymore. The Doritos Locos taco is without a doubt winning this fight. 100%. I think that the athletic ability, and again, not saying that the taco is a genius, but the intellect that it brings into this fight with the famous bowl, it outmaneuvers it every step of the way. So Doritos Locos taco for the win, absolutely. I'm locking that in myself.
The only reason that I'm accepting your answer for now and not just absolutely going apeshit is because you haven't had one. And once you have one, you'll come to your senses. So I'd really just like you to try one, preferably tonight, and just be honest. Nobody's going to blame you for realizing that you're wrong once you have one because you've never had one. You know what I mean?
Sure. Even if I enjoy the bowl eating it, I think I'm still right in this moment that the taco is going to win, without a doubt. I have no if I eat this bowl and it tastes good, I've got no problem admitting that, obviously. But again, that's not what we're talking about.
I know, but you know where I'm coming from, though. If you ate it
sure.
and appreciate it and understand how the ingredients work together in harmony, you'd be like, there's no way this fucking bowl loses to a stupid-ass taco.
I think it absolutely does. And I don't think the taco is the one that's stupid, as I've stated.
All right. I mean, again, we're going to leave it up to social media. You heard what we had to say. I'm curious to what people think about this one. I am pretty sure that they'll side. You had never even heard of the Famous Bowl when I suggested it?
No, I've heard of the Famous Bowl because I know that you've gotten them before.
Don't even get me started on the spicy Famous Bowl. That'd beat the wheels off a taco. But anyway, it is what it is. Agree to disagree. Go vote on social media. Let us know what you think. Prove Andrew wrong again. I can't even believe Andrew agrees to keep playing this fucking Who Would Win of the Week game because I just absolutely demolish him week after week.
That's not true at all. I know I'm right, particularly in this instance, and
how are the kids next door doing? You knew you were right in that instance too, huh?
And I am. It does not matter. Okay,
Andy.
with that one, it doesn't matter
Andy.
with the Danny Trejo one either. There are
This episode comes full circle. Ready? Because we're gonna touch on this and then we're gonna call it to a close. You're entitled to your opinion, but when people vote on something and the majority votes for one thing, that's the thing that ends up being correct, right?
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, you just got shit on. Talk about full circle. I hope people battled through our election conversation just to hear me just absolutely take an upper decker in your toilet.
Oh, man. Look. Sometimes
you don't even respond. Folks,
sometimes the correct opinion is not the popular
one. Isn't
one.
the most popular one? I know. However,
Sure, in the annals of history, time will tell. But oftentimes, the lens of history flips the switch. But this switch will not need to be flipped because the Doritos Locos Taco wins this fight, and when we take it to Twitter and Instagram, it's going to win there as well.
I mean, I guess only time will tell. I just don't think there's a chance in hell that. I think you're underestimating how loyal the fan base for a KFC Famous Bowl is. If you had it, you would understand and you would jump on board. This is my biggest thing. You gotta fucking eat it. All right, I'm done having this conversation.
All right, we're done. Well, the answers are locked in. It's out of our hands now. We're gonna see what happens.
Lock it in. Vote for it on. Yeah. Hop on social medias, the Instagrams, the Twitters. Vote for whichever you think will win, even though we already know what that is. Hopefully it'll give you guys a break from the political nonsense that is invading Twitter from all corners of the world and across all opinions, because everybody needs a fucking break from that. Honestly, it's become too much, as we discussed, and who knows what reality is anymore, according to Andrew.
Yeah,
and
reality
he's also the same guy who discussed that he would be a really good tree.
No, I'd be a terrible tree.
Oh, terrible tree. Sorry. Even though they just literally sit there, I think he'd be a pretty good one because that's all he really does anyway.
Oh my god, you son of a bitch! Oh my
and
god!
He tips pizza.
First and foremost, go fuck yourself. First and foremost, go fuck yourself. Secondly, Jesus Christ, I hate that I have to stand on this side of the fence. But if that's all a tree is to you, you're not looking. You're only looking with your eyes. You're not looking with your brain.
Oxygen. They produce oxygen and stuff like that. But when we had this tree discussion, you weren't talking about the functionality of a tree. You were just saying I'd be really shitty at just being a tree all day.
Mm-hmm.
Which I disagree with, because you could just sit there and grow. Be amongst your friends. Hope not to get cut down. Or infected by Japanese beetles or whatever the fuck happens to trees.
Murder hornets now, probably.
Yeah, murder hornets. I actually saw a tweet. Fuck, I think I exited out of Twitter on my laptop. Wait, give me 3 seconds. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no. I'm gonna be so upset. There's just no way. There's just no way, huh? It was like it was pretty much the Independent posted an article saying that like space stations around the world were receiving a radio signal from somewhere in our galaxy, like an unexplained radio signal, and somebody quote tweeted it and said like something about November like entering the 2020 group chat or something like that. And I just got a good giggle out of it.
That's pretty funny.
But all right, well, we were all over the board today. We were serious, we were funny, we were upset, we were sad, we were angry, we were loving, we talked about a lot of things today.
And I like to think we learned a little something along the way.
Yes, as we always do. But I think end of the day, it's a great episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. Andy, it's always a pleasure.
Yep.
I love you.
I love you too.
You got
What is that,
anything else for
11?
us before we get out of here?
What did you? Oh, is that like a brain?
Oh, this. Sorry, It's a brain stress ball. Yeah,
Nice.
sorry. I just like to play with it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
All right. Let's get out of here. Thanks, Matthew. We'll see you later.
See ya.